Let me guess, you're probably watching this video because you're procrastinating on something. Maybe it's the business idea, maybe it's your homework, maybe it's going to the gym, maybe it's literally anything that requires taking action. And you keep telling yourself you're going to do it when you feel motivated to. I'm going to share with you exactly why that is destroying your future. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand the one shift that separates the people who talk about their goals from the people who actually achieve them. Here's a harsh truth that nobody likes to hear. Motivation does not come before action. Action comes before motivation. I know, it's probably the opposite of what you've been told your whole life. Growing up, we were programmed to think that motivation had to come before action. Think about a time you accomplished something meaningful. Maybe you ran a marathon. Maybe you completed a tough project. When you ran that marathon, for example, you probably had to take action before you got the motivation to start doing it. There are some days where you didn't feel like running, where you just had to put on your shoes, get outside, and start running, regardless of how you felt. So here's what actually happened. You took action even when you didn't feel like it. You got more small wins that led to momentum, and eventually, momentum leads to motivation. Motivation isn't the spark that creates a fire. It's the warmth that you feel once the fire has been started. But sadly, most people never get to experience this, because they're sitting around waiting for that feeling to come, which only comes after taking action. And you want to know what makes this even worse? Perfectionism. I like to think of motivation and perfectionism as two sides of the same procrastination coin. So what is perfectionism? It's simply your brain's way of protecting you from failure by convincing you that you need to have everything perfect before you start. You may tell yourself things like, oh, I need to have the perfect plan. I need to do more research. I'm not prepared and thus I cannot take action. And the worst part is, while you're busy trying to plan every little detail, you're sitting there not taking action, things are not getting done, time is passing. Here's an analogy I like to think about. Imagine you're lost in a forest, and picture that this forest expands hundreds of miles in every direction. If you had perfectionism tendencies, you may think about every little detail and obstacle you may face. You may do this for many days and not get anywhere. Eventually, you're going to get discouraged, you're going to get overwhelmed, and you're going to freeze up. But what if you just focus on what's right in front of you? Just take the first 2 steps. That's it. You don't need to see the whole staircase in order to take the first step. And here's what happens when you do this. Those 2 steps turn into 10, the 10 into 100, and the 100 into 1,000. Pretty soon, when you look behind you, you have made some serious progress. But none of this would happen if you froze up at the starting line, paralyzed by trying to plan the perfect route. I believe that most people are not defining success correctly. Most people only think that they're successful when they cross the finish line, when they get that dream house, when they build the $1 million business, when they lose the 50 pounds. But because that finish line could be months or even years away, it often seems impossible. And that's what makes it so hard to start taking action. But here's what I learned. Success does not happen when you cross the finish line. Success happens the moment you decide to take action and you do it. Let me say that one more time because it is so important. Success happens the moment you decide to take decisive action. You decided to go to the gym even when you did not feel like it. That is success. You wrote the first paragraph of the book even when you've been pushing it off for the past 3 months. That is success. See, we've been only taught to celebrate the big news, not celebrate the tiny wins. And I would argue that these tiny wins are the big successes in our life. For every huge success you see out there, like the release of a new iPhone or the release of a new model of a car, there were millions of tiny successes that person had to experience, which I believe are way more important than the public success that people usually think about. So that is where the real transformation happens. Not at the finish line, but at the time you take decisive action. So now when you redefine success this way, everything changes. You don't feel as scared to take action. You get to feel successful today, the moment that you decide to take action. Once you keep consistently taking action, momentum takes over. And momentum is a beautiful thing because it makes taking action so much easier. Remember what I said in the beginning? Small actions lead to small wins lead to momentum leads to motivation, and it's a positive feedback loop. Let's say you go to the gym once. It sucks in the beginning. After a week, it starts to suck less. You start to notice some gains. Maybe you decide you want to eat healthier, and it's easier to make those decisions because you're in the right headspace now. By a couple months, you start noticing some fat loss, you start hanging out with a different crowd, Maybe you don't drink alcohol anymore. But basically, it gets a lot easier. Think about pushing a car. When a car is stationary, it is really difficult for you to actually push the car. But when the car starts moving, it becomes a lot easier to actually keep pushing it. The difficulty lies in sticking it through to get to the point where the car is actually moving. That's where most people give up. Maybe the hard part is a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, but if you truly want to experience the fruits of momentum, you have to stick through the difficult parts. Trust me, it will get so much easier. Momentum is your friend and you want to take advantage of it. If you're waiting for the motivation to take action, then keep waiting. You're never going to take the action, and you're never going to create the life that you actually want. There is never a perfect timing. You just have to start, regardless of what the circumstance is. Successful people are not successful because they have more motivation than everyone else. It's that they take the action even when they don't feel like it. They go to the gym even when they're tired. They work on their business after their 9 to 5, even when they're tired and want to watch Netflix. If you would like a video of me explaining how to make the initial process of taking action easier, let me know in the comments. Here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, but right now. Think about that one thing you've been putting off. The goal that you've been talking about, but you never took action on. Got it? Good. Now just forget about the end result for a second. Forget about the whole journey. Just focus on the smallest action you could take right now that would get you a little bit closer to that goal. Maybe it's just sending an email. I don't care how small it is. Actually, the smaller, the better, because it's more likely that you actually take action on it. So right after you finish watching this video, take that one action. And then tomorrow, take another action. Don't worry about day 30, day 100. Just focus on what action you could take right now. Because here's what's going to happen. That tiny action will eventually lead to more actions. That will lead to momentum, which will lead to motivation, which will propel you further than you could ever imagine. But you have to take action now.